Welcome to this episode of Your Future, Your Finances. I'm your host, Brian Kuhn. Here we interview a variety of experts on the topics of personal finance, personal growth, and current events here in Maryland, D.C., and nationally. In this first segment, we will be discussing what businesses and employees should be aware of in their human resources planning. For that, we are meeting with Stefanie Lomax, CEO and founder of HR Pro for You, LLC. Stefanie, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Brian. I appreciate it.
So what is HR and why do businesses need it?
So HR, or human resources, really is not obviously just the management of or the hiring of employees, but also is the management of those. So in addition to hiring them and having those resources in place, it also is managing all the things that happen as they are employees within an organization.
What are some of the mistakes that small businesses make as it relates to HR?
So one of the most common things that I see, because I work specifically with small businesses, is that they don't understand it, so they don't value it, so they don't deal with it. And so oftentimes that can get them into lots of into entanglement and trouble sometimes. But in addition to just not understanding it, they also just don't have a true appreciation of how they hire employees and what that means, how they classify employees and what the law says about that. So just, overall, generally speaking, they just don't have a true understanding of why they need to have human resources function within their organization.
Does the number of employees a business have affect their rules and laws and your advice for them?
It does. It absolutely does. So the old saying is, to whom much is given, much is required, right?
Yep.
So even though small businesses, when they hire their very first employee, they have about 12, 13 federal laws that they're required to follow. As they grow and they hit certain thresholds of employees, additional laws are required to be followed. So it's really important and key, again, to have someone that they're talking with on a regular basis as they're growing to make sure that they're in compliance every step of the way.
Do you recommend having internal HR support or an outside consultant?
So that answer is it depends. That's like the most popular HR answer ever. But it does depend, because depending upon your size and what your infrastructure can sustain. Most of the businesses that I work with, because I do outside consulting, I work with them on varying levels of external HR. However, at a certain point, probably somewhere between 50 and 75 employees, it really is best to have an internal support system, whether that's, a full-time person or a part-time person will depend, but it definitely is, at that point, there definitely needs to be some internal resource that's taking place.
What should small businesses know about potential fines they could face related to HR issues?
Oh, yes. So, unfortunately, fines can, especially for small businesses, be door closing. So ignorance of the law is not an excuse not to follow. So again, really important to have someone that you're talking with. But fines can vary to, from back pay of wages if you have someone misclassified, to, having to pay a fine for repeated violations because either you didn't know or you willfully, which I hope doesn't really happen, violate the law that's in place. So, really it can vary depending upon how many people you're talking about. They can get to be pretty hefty in the tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Wow. Yeah. What are some of the topics that managers and employees should be trained on as it relates to HR?
Yes, so if you have anyone that's doing interviewing, hiring in your organization, it is certainly important to have those employees to go through some type of training. It could even be annually, just on the types of things that you can talk to employees about, that you can ask them during the interview process, for example. Conversely, when you're terminating people as well, there are some things that managers should be trained on and know about as it relates to letting employees go. But then also just in the continuum of working with employees on a regular basis, things like the Americans with Disabilities Act or the ADA or Family Medical Leave Act, FMLA, those things managers are going to likely be the first line of defense that an employee comes to if they have one of those situations to occur. And so the manager needs to know how to handle that, who to take it to, and when to involve human resources, whether that's an internal person or it's an outside consultant like myself, to help them to kind of manage that process through.
Most businesses know about common federal HR laws, but here in the state of Maryland, are there unique rules and laws they should be aware of?
There are actually, and it even goes beyond state level down to county level. So here in the state of Maryland, in February of 2018, legislation passed that there is an earned sick and safe leave policy that all employers are required to follow. The main difference is, again, so we talked about size. If you have 15 or less employees, it's an unpaid leave, and there's a calculation that goes along with that in terms of how much an employee is entitled to. But if you have more than 15 employees, it's a paid leave. So everyone's required to follow it, but the only difference is whether it's a paid or an unpaid leave. With Montgomery County, they have their own earned sick and safe leave policy. So you have to figure out now which one is more generous to the employee, which is the one that you would then be required to follow.
Okay. Well, this has been great, very helpful. How can folks find you online?
Yes, so I am on social media. I'm at LinkedIn and Twitter. I also have a Facebook page and certainly have a website as well, which is www.hrpro, the number 4, I always have to do that, YOU.com. I also have a monthly podcast, video podcast that airs the first Wednesday of every month, and that can also be found via social media and on my webpage as well.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for appearing.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. That does it for this segment of Your Future, Your Finances. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Mayor Craig Moen. I'm standing in Riverfront Park, one of the City of Law's most important natural resources. And April is Earth Month, and we want to do something very special in the City of Laurel for the environment. And we can do that with your help. I encourage you to take the National Mayor's Challenge for water conservation. All you have to do is go to mywaterpledge.com and pledge to save water by doing things like checking for leaks, only doing full loads of laundry and dishes, taking shorter showers, turning the faucet off while you're brushing your teeth, and using water wisely in your yard and around the house. Not only will you be helping the environment, you could win hundreds of prizes, including $3,000 towards your utility bill. So Laurel, let's all rise to the challenge and take the pledge at mywaterpledge.com.
Hi, and welcome back. Next up, we are speaking with Lisa Mitchell-Senaar at the Governor's Office of Small, Minority, and Women Business Affairs on a program they offer called the Small Business Reserve. Lisa, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Brian. This is a pleasure.
What is the Governor's Office of Small, Minority, and Business Affairs?
So, under the leadership of the Hogan administration, Maryland is open for business. The state has made significant strides in improving the economy, creating jobs, improving the overall ability of businesses to, for entrepreneurs to succeed. So our office, the Office of Small, Minority, and Women Business Affairs, is within the executive branch of the governor's office. We're one of the coordinating offices. And our major role, our primary role, is connecting small businesses to greater economic opportunity within the private and the public sectors.
Okay. And then you have a program, the Small Business Reserve Program?
Yes, and so that's one of the programs. Our office oversees 3 socioeconomic programs for the state of Maryland. The Small Business Reserve Program, referred to as the SBR program, the Minority Business Enterprise Program, which a number of people are familiar with, MBE, it's about 40 years old, it's one of the best in the country, and the Veterans Small Business Enterprise Program, VSBE. So within that, we oversee compliance for these programs across 70 agencies. So the SBR, Small Business Reserve Program, is my primary role.
How much does the state of Maryland spend with the Small Business Reserve certified companies?
So the state spends about $390 million, like in fiscal 17, it was about $390 million. And to give the, a little bit better idea about the Small Business Reserve Program, this was created in 2004. The program was a direct outreach or a direct result of procurement modernization on behalf of the Hogan administration, with the understanding that creating a space where small businesses can compete against other small businesses for prime contracting as it relates to state contracts. So this is a unique space that's been created for small businesses that are a certain size standards.
Okay, interesting. Who can participate?
Small businesses have to be for-profit businesses, independently owned and operated, not a subsidiary of another company, and they have to fall within one of 6 categories: retail, wholesale operations, retail operations, manufacturing, service, architectural engineering, and construction. Once they designate which category they fall in, they have to meet the employee standards in terms of size or gross sales. And most small businesses, if you fall within, for example, in the retail industry, not more than 25 people can they employ, or not more than $3 million in gross sales. Now, to a mom and pop, and Maryland is the home to about 580,000 small businesses. Many of them are way under that. Some are a little bit over, but this creates an opportunity for those that fit in the sweet spot to be able to compete.
Sure. So they have to register probably. How do they do that?
Yes, this is an online registration, self-certification process that occurs. They can go to Maryland's procurement portal, which is the home of eMaryland Marketplace. That's where most of Maryland's procurement takes place. Procurement.maryland.gov, and we'll have that information for folks up, but procurement.maryland.gov, and they can go on there and register for the Small Business Reserve Program. They're going to need to know some things about their business. They're going to need to know how many employees they have. They're going to need to have their last almost 3 recent years of gross sales. So they're really going to have to know their business. Because it is a self-certifying registration, what they're putting in there, they're swearing that this information is accurate, and is ready for an audit in case that occurs.
You mentioned the eMaryland Marketplace. What is that?
So, eMaryland Marketplace is the home of Maryland's procurement process. The majority of procurements for the state of Maryland take place in this procurement portal called eMaryland Marketplace, and it's procurement.maryland.gov, and that is, if you Google that, you're going to get Maryland's procurement portal, and it's wonderful that there are step-by-step instructions on there as to how to register. Each business that participates in procurement with Maryland needs a profile on eMaryland Marketplace. It's the state's business directory. This is where the agencies go to shop. Across the agencies from Maryland, they all have buyers. They buy goods and services, and if you want to be one of those businesses, then you first have to create a profile on eMaryland Marketplace.
Makes sense.
Once you've created your profile within that, you actually are given the opportunity to register for the Small Business Reserve Program, and you can do that, and once you register, when you finish the registration, you immediately get your answer if you're certified or not.
Wonderful. How can I find Small Business Reserve procurements?
Okay, that's the big question that many businesses want to know. There are a number of ways that you can find that small businesses can find procurements. One of the best ways is by going to procurement.maryland.gov, and I'm going to keep drilling that in because it is Maryland's procurement portal, and there are step-by-step instructions that provide several ways for businesses to search for bid opportunities. One of the things that most businesses don't know how to do is connect with state government, but you're getting the inside information in a step-by-step way with pictures, showing you exactly how to search for bid opportunities. One of the ways of searching is when you go to that Maryland procurement portal, you don't even have to log in. You can just kind of take a general look at opportunities that might be available by going to the procurement page, going to then the hyperlink that has a login. Go to that page, and then you actually select bid opportunities. Once you select bid opportunities, a search window opens. Once that search window opens, you can then select bid and search, and you'll actually be able to get current and past bids, solicitations that are available online, some that are in the pipeline right now.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Well, thank you for appearing. That was wonderful information. What are some of the resources you were mentioning again?
Well, thank you very much, Brian. The resources are gomdsmallbiz.maryland.gov, gomdsmallbiz.maryland.gov. This is our website and gives viewers an opportunity to see our technical training classroom as well as our Ready, Set, Grow procurement workshop that connects buyers to, or connects businesses to buyers across all 70 participating state agencies. Also, procurement.maryland.gov for Maryland's procurement portal.
All right, thank you very much. That does it for this segment of Your Future, Your Finances. We'll be right back.
Two identical cars leave their identical homes at exactly the same time. One driver pays close attention to their surroundings and obeys the posted speed limit. The other hurries through their neighborhood, going a little bit too fast, not paying attention. A group of children are playing in their front yard and a ball rolls out into the street. One car stops and nothing else happens. The other, well, let's just say it can change lives forever. Keep kids alive. Drive 25.
Welcome back. In this next segment of Your Future, Your Finances, we are addressing a topic that affects almost everyone and is in the news frequently, which is healthcare. To discuss the current events here in Maryland, we are joined by Vinnie Demarco of the Maryland's Citizens Health Initiative. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
So let's talk about your organization, what it is, what it stands for.
Our organization, Maryland Citizens Health Initiative, otherwise known as the Maryland Healthcare for All Coalition, has been around since 1999 with the goal of achieving quality, affordable health care for all Marylanders. And we've made a lot of progress, but there's more work to be done.
Absolutely. What has your organization worked on and accomplished over the years?
Well, even before the Affordable Care Act, we were responsible for advocating for a successful expansion of Medicaid to 100,000 lower-income Marylanders. We funded that with increases in tobacco and alcohol taxes, which have reduced teen smoking and underage drinking. And that was a tremendous success even before the Affordable Care Act. Once the Affordable Care Act was enacted, we worked very hard to make sure it was properly implemented in Maryland with the state exchange, and we now have dramatically reduced the uninsured rate in Maryland by half. Over 400,000 people in Maryland have gotten health care under the Affordable Care Act amongst the 20 million across the state. It's a great success.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, people in Washington, some Donald Trump and others, are trying to undermine it. Luckily, they weren't able to repeal the Affordable Care Act. Our congressional delegation stood up to that and didn't let that happen. But now we are working in Maryland to protect the Affordable Care Act and build on it. There's something called the Health Insurance Coverage Protection Commission, co-chaired by Delegate Jocelyn Pena-Melnick of Laurel and Delegate and Senator Brian Feldman of Montgomery County. The two of them chair this commission on which I serve, which has been working to make sure the Affordable Care Act and health care coverage in general works in Maryland. And last year, we proposed at the legislature a reinsurance program which helped keep premiums down for people all across the state, which was really important. This year, the commission recommended more advances, and what got passed was something called the Maryland Easy Enrollment Health Insurance Program, which will make sure that as many people are enrolled in Maryland as possible. In 2020, Maryland will be the first state in the nation to actively use the tax system to find people who are uninsured and eligible for programs and get them enrolled. We think there are about 120,000 Marylanders who are eligible for free or very low-cost health care, and they don't know about it, they're not enrolled. This will help them get enrolled. And the more of them that are enrolled, it'll be great for them and their families, but good for all of us, because that reduces uncompensated hospital care, what we can call the hidden healthcare tax, and it keeps all of our premiums lower. So this has been a great success. And this year, we enacted the first in the nation Prescription Drug Affordability Board, which will, for the first time, actively look at ways to make prescription drugs more affordable in Maryland.
Good. Sounds like a lot going on.
A lot going on, yes.
In the 2019 session here in Maryland that I guess just wrapped up?
Yes. Three major things happened this session. One was building on last year's reinsurance program. That was continued, which helped keep premiums from going up as fast amongst Marylanders or even down. Secondly, as I mentioned, the Maryland Easy Enrollment Health Program, sponsored by, again, Delegate Pena-Melnick and Senator Feldman. This is a landmark law which will say that, again, in 2020, when you and I and all of us go pay our taxes, we will be asked, are you uninsured right now? If the answer is yes, the state will actively figure out how to get us enrolled so that our families benefit and all of us benefit by having more people insured, keeps all our premiums from going up. And Delegate Pena-Melnick and Senator Kathy Klausmeyer from Baltimore County also proposed legislation which got enacted to create a prescription drug affordability board. This board will be the first of its kind in the nation, which will actively pursue ways to keep prescription drug prices more affordable, including putting a limit on what counties and states have to pay for state of Maryland and counties have to pay for very high cost drugs. We all benefit from that. The fact of the matter is, drugs don't work if people can't afford them. We all know people who can't afford the drugs that they need, and this bill will help them do that. Other countries do it very well. That's why prescription drugs are so much less expensive in other countries. Nobody in America has done anything like this yet, but Maryland is leading the way.
So that's the Prescription Drug Affordability Board?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right. And how will the Maryland Easy Enrollment Health Insurance Program work and help?
Well, what it will do is make sure that everybody who is eligible for low cost or free health care in Maryland gets enrolled if they want to be enrolled. So what will happen in 2020, anybody who files for their taxes, their state taxes, will be asked, are you insured right now? If the answer is no, if you're eligible for Medicaid, unless you don't want to be, you'll be enrolled in Medicaid. We think there are about 50,000 Marylanders eligible for Medicaid who, for whatever reason, aren't enrolled. We want to make sure if they want to be enrolled, they're enrolled. And there are about 70,000 other Marylanders who, under the Affordable Care Act, would get free or very low-cost health care. Getting them enrolled is good for all of us. The more Marylanders are enrolled, the less uncompensated hospital care there is that we all pay for, and the healthier our state is.
So what's next for healthcare and public health in Maryland?
Well, first of all, we want to make sure Governor Hogan signs these two bills. We're pretty confident he'll sign the Maryland Easy Enrollment Health Insurance Bill. That's great. We also want him to sign the Prescription Drug Affordability Board bill. I know there have been concerns about potential constitutional challenges. We think this bill is designed in a way that it would not be overthrown at all. It's really solidly built on constitutional basis, and we strongly urge Governor Hogan to sign this. It was bipartisan. The county execs of Maryland, including Prince George's County exec, Angela Alsobrooks, Anne Arundel County exec, Stuart Pittman, and Republican County exec, Barry Glassman of Harford County, and all the other county execs endorsed this, and it passed with bipartisan support in the legislature. So it's very, very important that Governor Larry Hogan sign this into law.
Okay. All right. Very good. Well, thanks for appearing and the information. How can folks find you online?
www.healthcareforall.com. And you go to healthcareforall.com, you can see how to help us. And if you have a prescription drug affordability story, you can tell it to us.
All right, very good.
Thank you.
That does it for this segment and the episode of Your Future, Your Finances. We've run out of time. Thank you for watching. I hope you have some takeaways. I'm your host, Brian Kuhn, and if you have any questions for the show or one of our guests, you may contact me at bkuhn@psgplanning.com. As always, a thank you to Laurel TV for their production and airing of this segment. You can watch the show every Sunday at 10 a.m. on Laurel TV, Comcast Channel 71 and 996 for HD, and Verizon Channel 12, or on the live stream at laureltv.org. If you are watching this on YouTube, please also feel free to like, comment, or follow the Laurel TV channel. Have a great day.